title is probably the most important thing that takes place following a successful contract in real estate.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Change and the Market. I'm your host today, Kevin Chamala, and with us is Chairman and noted industry trendsetter, Chris Masiello. Thank you for joining us today.
Kevin, good to be with you.
And we have a very special guest with us today, is the Chief Executive Officer and President of the Masiello Group and Affiliates, Joanne Goguen. Thank you for joining us today, Joanne.
Well, thank you, Kevin and Chris, for welcoming me in.
And so we've had numerous conversations about the complexities in the housing transaction, right? In the past, Change in the Markets, we've had the privilege of having some of our partners such as CMG Financial come and discuss the mortgage side of the industry. So today what we want to do for our audience and our listeners is to give you a high-level understanding of the importance of title. And so with this in mind, Chris, you kind of want to frame one, where title fits in the housing transaction, the importance of it, and then Joanne can inform us of how title works.
Yeah, great, thanks. And Joanne, it's great to be doing this together, right? We've worked together, Joanne and I have worked together for almost 20 years in both title and real estate. And I think it's the first time we've actually done one of these. So Joanne is, partner and president of our title affiliate. And one of the reasons that we keep title so close to us, right, is that you can't have a successful real estate transaction without a successful title process. And it really doesn't matter where you are. I mean, title can be different in different states, but it's still kind of the same process. And so it's one of the reasons why it's really a core part of our service offering to not only our clients, but our agents, is that we have an in-house title operation, because it is so critical. Because if there's a problem with a title, and I'm sure Joanne can address this, if there's a problem with a title, that's it. Everything stops, because you can't pass. You have to have clear title, right? So it is really integral, and we've talked about this in the past, about the real estate transaction is the most, not one of, the most complicated consumer transactions that there is. And so our ability, I think, in this conversation to be able to shed some light on, things like title insurance and, corrective measures and things like that, I think will be beneficial for everybody.
Well, Chris, you are once again right. Title is probably the most important thing that takes place. Title search, review, examination following a successful contract in real estate. And there's so much to it, right? We think of the home, right? In real estate, we found our home. And we forget sometimes as consumers how much paper is behind that home, right? Deeds dating back, as we say, to the King's Grant. The registry systems throughout our states in our region are at the county level, and the records that exist and the people, the humans that actually support the title process, of which we have some incredible partners in our title company that actually do the searching of the records to determine if that seller truly owns the home, and if they own that home free and clear of any liens or issues outside of the norm. Of course, a mortgage lien is a traditional and normal and expected lien. We forget that. And there is a complex process that is undertaken once a contract is signed, with searching, reviewing records, and determining that the property can be conveyed without any risk to the buyer. And if, Chris, you mentioned title insurance, if a seller has been wise enough to purchase an owner's title insurance policy, then they can convey that property with warranty under the protection of their title insurance policy. So There's a lot to it.
I think sometimes people get confused, especially whether on the seller side or the buyer side, about the difference between homeowners insurance and title insurance, and how those two interplay, or whether they don't, right? And the benefits, the true benefits of difference in title insurance from homeowners insurance.
I can cover that. I mean, it's, the property and casualty insurance, the homeowner's policy covers that building, right? The structure on a piece of land. The title insurance covers the land, right? So it's really important to focus on that. Homeowners insurance is a premium you have recurring, right? You have your annual policy, you have your monthly premiums. Title insurance is actually a one-time expense. When you purchase the home, you have the opportunity to purchase owner's title insurance. It's a one-time premium that is good for, it actually covers you and your heirs throughout your period of ownership. And then as long as you have an interest in the property, for instance, if you have conveyed it with a warranty deed, your owner's policy covers you. So a very wise expense when buyers are looking at the significant cost to purchase a home. The owner's title insurance policy is, generally speaking, about 1% of the overall cost to purchase a home. It is a wise expense. Truly, when you think about average cost of a home, say it's a total expense of $3,000 for title insurance. That's lender's policy and an owner's policy. You would be hard pressed to seek legal representation on a legal matter involving your title for $3,000. That may cover the retainer, right, for an attorney.
Yeah, and just as an example, this is kind of a basic example, right? Is that, let's say that somebody in the chain of title, right, the succession of owners, passed away, but they didn't record the death certificate. Well, as far as that title is concerned, that person's still alive, right? And so it needs a sign off until the death certificate's recorded, right? And then the heirs could have, successfully passed on the title. And so it's those types of things. A lot of them are administrative. Some of them can be more complicated. I don't know, Joe, if you want to throw something more complicated than that, but it's those types of things that need to be cured for a successful transfer of title.
The unrecorded death certificate, missing heirs, to build upon that, it happens. It happens when, sometimes it could be after the property is conveyed. A missing heir comes out of the woodwork to say, my grandfather, I'm in the will, I was to have ownership, and that creates a title claim. Boundary disputes are a common issue where, owners who have title insurance have the benefit of their title insurance policy and the underwriter to help sort through that. But, it could be IRS liens, it could be undischarged mortgages. There are a host of things, easements, where, many in New England, we run into this on the title side, easement issues, where someone, a neighbor or someone has been using the property for access. And it was a handshake agreement. The property conveys, and the new owner does not appreciate Kevin accessing property or the lake through their property. So, of course, a title insurance claim ensues. So, there's a lot of different things that come up. One of the most prevalent things we deal with in real estate today, right, is seller fraud and seller impersonation. This is, if you ever wanted just one reason why Title insurance is important. It covers you post issuance of the policy, post policy forgery. So we're seeing, just nationally and here in New England, 54% of agents nationally in the last 6 months have experienced some type of seller impersonation or fraudulent attempt. And think about it, right? Think about how that could happen. Seller fraud and impersonation really happens because people are using publicly available records to access information about a seller, about a property. And, here in New England, we have a lot of vacant land and we have a lot of unoccupied properties. Those are key targets. Mm-hmm. And all it takes is for someone to manipulate the system. And it happens. There are bad people out there, and they fraudulently convey a property that they did not own. And we're fortunate in our title company to have a number of steps that we take to prevent that. We do a lot of work educating realtors on how to avoid it, but it's real. And if you have an owner's title insurance policy, you will have the support of your underwriter.
Yeah, I was dumbstruck when I heard that number. Almost $900 million of title fraud happened in 2023. Mm-hmm. That is unbelievable.
It's staggering. And I think that's a great way to, because there's a lot here, right? I think I'm shocked by some of the numbers you both were able to display through this conversation and the transparency that this will bring to a lot of first-time home buyers, current home buyers, sellers, and everyone in the market interested in purchasing or selling a home. And I think, again, Chris, is something we've talked about, right? To bring this full circle that's, again, another great benefit of working with a realtor, right? Of being able
absolutely
to guide that consumer in the right way of finding the right title company.
Yeah, I mean, look, they call insurance for like a reason. Like they just didn't make that word up. Okay, it's a safety net, and of course the perennial quip about insurance is that, well, you don't like paying for it until you need it, and once you need it, you're like, oh, thank God I paid for it. Mm-hmm. So. And in title insurance, that absolutely is the case. Like you should not be buying real estate unless you buy title insurance. Again, the average purchase price or median purchase price in the United States is a little bit north of $400,000. Like that is a lot of money. You do not want to put that at risk needlessly.
And I think that's a great way to close us out. I don't know if you had any lasting closing remarks that you wanted to share with our audience today, Joanne?
I think that we've covered a lot. I would say that, reaching back to title insurance and due diligence whenever purchasing or selling a property, right? It's very important to know who you're dealing with. Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I would absolutely echo what you said, Kevin, about working with a real estate agent, but then also working with the right partners. We, as Chris mentioned, within the Masiello group, we're fortunate to partner on the majority of finance transactions with CMG Mortgage. They are local, they are exceptional. And having a title partner that and that is local to work with makes a world of difference in what is a very complex transaction and one of the most important that a consumer will ever make financially. So, and thank you for welcoming me to Change in the Market.
Thank you so much, Joanne. And Chris, I didn't know if you wanted to leave us with any lasting remarks.
No, I think this was great. This was a lot of good stuff to get into, and especially in the age when we're, talking about so much fraud is out there and all that. You really can't, you can't avoid the fraud. It's out there, but what you can do is protect yourself.
Absolutely. So thank you both for joining us today. I think this was an insightful conversation for our audience across the board. So everyone tuning in, please like, subscribe, share. This is a great one to share with your colleagues, friends, family members, and we look forward to seeing you for another episode of Change in the Market.